Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to stand here and after having good lunch. Yeah. So I hope we are not sleepy and can follow my talk about AI. My name is Anto Satrio Nugroho. You can call me Anto because I don't have family name here. I'm working for Center for Information and Communication Technology. It's a government institution on research and technology, Agency for the Assessment and Application of Technology, or BPPT. My talk today is a collaboration between my institutions and Ekman Institute for Molecular Biology, and the title is Artificial Intelligence Applications for Malaria Diagnosis based on thin blood smears microphotograph. So perhaps some of my talk related to the biological aspects of my studies. Here is the roadmap of my laboratory, because now I'm head of image processing and biometrics laboratory. I have two main research here. The first one is the multi-modal biometric system. This is the role of my institutions to support the government national programs. That is the IKTP in Indonesia, or Indonesian National Electronic ID Card. This is the examples of my object of research in the left side, in the first thema. And year by year, we develop the automated fingerprint identification prototypes, iris recognitions, facials, integrations, and we are preparing for giving technological services to measure the accuracy of the reader of the EID. Yeah, but I'm afraid if I'm talk about it, perhaps many of you blame to me because you did not receive the EID card. Yeah. My second topic is on my works is on computer-aided diagnosis systems. That is the applications of artificial intelligence for tropical disease. This is collaboration between my institutions and Ekman Institute for Molecular Biology. But not like the first one, I cannot show you an example because I'm not a victim of malaria and I don't want to be infected by malaria. Okay, so what is artificial intelligence? Yes, as have been explained by Dr. Dwi, that definition of AI can be categorized into four definitions: thinking humanly, thinking rationally, and acting humanly, and also the last is acting rationally. My work is mainly on the acting humanly. That is, my aim is to develop a computer-aided diagnosis. Yeah. We try to convert the expert knowledge into mathematical models that can be written in computer languages, which is a part of the systems to assist the diagnosis which is conducted by microscopists. So the research in medical image analysis can be divided into three areas. The first one is the first half of 80s, which is the aim is to analyze, to do pattern recognitions to the two-dimensional image. So imagine that we are working with static image. An example of this kind of research is quantifying structure in cell microscopy and also growing regions in X-ray angiograms for finding vessels, to finding the outline of heart indicated blood pool nuclear medicine images. And the second half of the 80s is the start of incorporating artificial intelligence technology, yeah, that is incorporating higher level reasoning strategies into recognition systems. So this is the beginning of a combination of between AI and the medical image analysis. The last one, starting from 1992, is focused on 3D images and toward more integrated analysis. So my focus is on the computer-aided diagnosis to assess the malaria identifications. So what can we expect from computer-aided diagnosis? As what have been mentioned, that my work is try to convert the expert knowledge into mathematical models which can be interpreted by computer languages. And the system is used to assist the diagnosis by medical practitioners. The effect of using computer-aided diagnosis has been studied, for example, by Kobayashi in his paper effect of computer-aided diagnosis scheme on radiologists' performance in detections lung nodules on radiographs. In his study, he compared the accuracy of lung nodules detections by 16 medical practitioners. 2 of them are really expert in that fields, 2 thoracic radiologists, and the rest, 6 is general radiologists, 8 is residents in radiology. The evaluation is conducted based on 2 scenarios. The first one is using computer-aided diagnosis, and the second one is using only conventional diagnosis. Here is the examples of the image that he used in his study. The left one is the original radiograph, yeah? And the middle one is the result of computer-aided diagnosis. You can see here, TP is true positive, is the real, the true locations of nodules, yeah, in the digitized radiographs as a result of computer-aided diagnosis. This one is false detections as a result of computer-aided diagnosis analysis. And this one, the last picture is chest CT scan obtained, yeah, at subcarinal levels to verify the presence of nodules. So in his conclusions, yeah, this is the graph that shows the accuracy by comparing the thoracic radiologist, that is left 2 on the most left, and the next 6 bars is general result obtained by radiologists, and the rest from 9 to the last is residents in radiology. The gray shadings shows the result obtained by conventional radiograph only tests. So it is the manual analysis result. You can see here that the result obtained by general radiologists and residents in radiology is quite low compared to the result obtained by thoracic radiologists. But by using computer-aided diagnosis, the result can be boosted, so the diagonal stripes correspond to the increase of accuracy by using computer-aided diagnosis. As a result, you can see here that the result obtained by residents in radiology arrived to the level which is comparable to those obtained by thoracic radiologists. So here we can see that we can conclude that CAD can significantly improve the diagnosis accuracy, and also especially it can be used to improve the diagnosis performance of residents, yeah, which is to make it close to the result obtained by thoracic radiologists. Thus, it will narrow the gap caused by the lack of skills and experiences, especially for malaria diagnosis. In many areas of Indonesia, yeah, which is in the eastern side of Indonesia, we can see here that the prevalence of malaria is quite high. It is very, although despite of these conditions, the number of experts is very limited. So we hope that by developing computer-aided diagnosis, we can help to improve the accuracy in this area with high prevalence of malaria. So Indonesian government has a strategy for this. Elimination of malaria is conducted year by year, and by the end of 2030, we hope that all of part of Indonesia will be free from malaria. So this is the picture about how malaria diagnosis is conducted when I went to the Nusa Tenggara Timur. It is located in east side of Bali. Yeah. First, the check is conducted by using RDT. The second is microscopic, making thin blood and thick blood smears. And the last is preparing for analysis by PCR. A lot of diagnosis methods are known for malaria. The first one is clinical diagnosis, which is easy to conduct in the past. Like, for example, based on the symptoms, chills, fever, fatigue, and so on. Unfortunately, this traditional method is not accurate as well. Polymerase chain reaction is also well known for this purpose, but however, it is high cost, yeah? So it is not appropriate when it is used for mass blood screenings. The last one, microscopic analysis, It is based on by coloring the blood slide using chemical process which is called as Kimsa staining to make the parasites, leukocytes, platelet identifiables, already considered as golden standard in malaria diagnosis. There are several pros and cons of microscopic analysis. The advantage of doing this analysis, first, it is of low cost, so it can be used for mass blood screening purposes. It is also sensitive, that microscopic diagnosis can be used to differentiate the species of the plasmodiums, which has becomes important in considerations in giving appropriate therapy to the patients. Despite of these advantages, it has also some drawbacks. For example, the result of the diagnosis is highly depends on the quality of the blood slides. Many of the slides in the field is not in good conditions, so it is difficult for the microscopists to make accurate diagnosis. And as a consequence, that the result of the diagnosis highly depends on the microscopist's skills and experiences. Furthermore, determining the negative status of malaria patients is much more difficult than positive ones. You can see here that this one is an example of thin blood smears. This one is the erythrocyte, which is infected by the parasites of malaria. To ensure that it is negative, we have to check the cells one by one, cell by cell, to confirm that none of them are infected by parasites. So, and it is time consumes, and it is difficult in a case of mass blood screening purposes. Also, the number of expert microscopists in rural area in eastern Indonesia is very limited. So this has become serious problems in conducting malaria diagnosis as a part of effort in early control for the malaria disease. The objective of our project is to develop computer-aided diagnosis systems to semi-automatically identify the malaria status of patients based on thin blood smears microphotograph. We start from thin blood smears microphotographs, and the result is, first, we want to identify whether the blood of the patients is infected or not, whether it is positive or negative. Second, if it is infected, what is the species of the parasites? Whether it is Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale, and so on. The data is collected by our colleagues in Eijkman Institute for Molecular Biology. It is obtained from various locations in Indonesia, such as Kalimantan, Borneo, Sabang, Papua, Sumba, and so on. The data is observed under light microscopes in 10 to 100 oil immersions, and also captured by built-in digital camera, and the resolution is 1.2 megapixels. This is the slide shows to you that the left one is the image of thin smear samples. The right one is the image of thick smear samples. We first focus on image of thin smear samples because it is easier to identify the species of the parasites if we are using this compared to the image of the thick blood smears. So it is an example of a slide that shows Plasmodium falciparum infected to one of the red blood cells, and the right side shows an example of blood cells which is infected by Plasmodium vivax. When I saw this image at first, it seems that it is easy and does not take a long time to develop the systems. Unfortunately, the story is not as what I expected. This example shows an examples that commonly found in real field. This one and this one. Which of them are really infected by parasites? I will pick up these two cells and zoom it. This is the healthy erythrocytes, and this one is infected. You can see here, this one is the nucleus of the parasites surrounding by the cytoplasms and vacuola. And this is the artifacts, which is not the real parasites, although it has also dark pixels here. We can see from here that it differentiates between this infected and artifact is not easy, and it needs special skills and also experiences to make an accurate diagnosis. The data used for the experiments contains of around 1,400 microphotographs from 19 thin blood smears provided by Ekman Institute for Molecular Biology, and it has 8 of them Plasmodium falciparum species, 3 from Vivax, 3 ovale, and 3 malariae, and so on. We use the data for our studies. So what makes this problem interesting from the perspective of computer visions? When a slide is under observations in the microscopes, there are several questions that we should answer. First, whether it is infected or healthy. Second, if it is infected, what is the species of the Plasmodia? Third, what is the phase? Because the morphology of the parasites is affected by the species and also the phase of the parasites. There is change in parasites morphological due to its life cycles. This slide shows the life cycle of parasites. It can be divided into sexual and asexual stage. It started when female Anopheles, infected female Anopheles mosquito bites humans. It will deliver several sporozoites, to the sporozoites to the humans, and it will arrive to the human livers. Instead of the human livers, it will be multiplied quickly, and then some of them are released as merozoites that infiltrate into the erythrocytes. In this phase, it is the first time that the parasite can be seen through the microscopes. Inside of the erythrocyte, it will undergo several phases. For example, the first is ring stage. You can see here that for all the species, they have different morphology. This one is Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, ovale, and malariae. It is in the ring stage. In the next stage is tropozoid stage, that it can be seen that mature tropozoites is characterized by the appearance of pigments granules here. Yeah. The next stage is the schizon stage, that the nucleus of the parasites will gradually divide and the parasite is known now as schizons. Even in this stage, you will see different morphology compared to the previous stages, and also each of the species has different morphology. So the problem is not as easy as I expected when I first studied the problems from the computer vision's perspective. The change of the morphology in terms of times reminds me to a problem which is called as template aging in biometrics. That is the morphology of parasite changes over times in malaria. Yeah, it is equal or equivalent to template aging problem in facial recognitions. So we developed a system in biometrics, a system that can recognize the face of persons. Let's say 4 persons represent to 4 species, but times by times, the face is different for every day. Yeah, this is my face, but I'm not parasites. Yeah. So this from when I was 2 years old until when I was in 32 years old, and I'm still look young. Yeah. Okay, so to develop this kind of systems, WHO already developed taxonomy and algorithms from the biological perspective to identify the species of each of the parasites. For example, first check the size of erythrocyte, whether it is enlarged or still in the same size. So by doing these rules, we can separate them into falciparum malariae or Vivax ovale. And we can continue to the other rules, which is developed by the biologists to arrive to the last conclusion, final conclusion, whether the cells infected by Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, vivax, or ovale. Yeah, so it is the proposed algorithm that I use in my studies. I will not show you the detail of the algorithms. Just basically, in our studies, we are working hard to convert the knowledge of the biological expert, such as relative size of the infected erythrocytes and smoothness of the cell margin and so on, combining by the image characteristics such as the geometrical shape and so on, combining these characteristics as features, to identify whether red blood cells is infected by a certain parasites are healthy. So how to convert these rules, the knowledge of the expert into the mathematical models is my main jobs. The result is like this. So the P1 accuracy is around 78%, and we are still working hard to improve the accuracy. So it can be, I hope by the end of this year, we will be able to evaluate the systems, in the real fields. So to conclude my talks is, first we are working in development computer diagnosis to help the microscopists to identify the status of the patients quickly and accurately. Second, the main of my work is to convert the knowledge of the microscopists into mathematical model, which can be implemented in computer language as integral part of computer-aided diagnosis systems. Also, the result of the diagnosis should be reconfirmed and verified by the microscopists to make sure that we did not develop algorithm which is different from what the microscopists used in their daily routines. The current status is that the result is quite promising, and we are now working hard to be able to evaluate in Eastern Indonesia. This is the Kabupaten Sumba Barat Daya, located in the east of the Bali Islands. We will go there and evaluate the system in real battlefields. So besides of malaria, perhaps we will see anthrax, dogs, which is rabies, and a lot of problems there. But it is challenging and also interesting. It is one photo picture shows how the situation in Sumba Barat Daya when I went there with my colleagues from Eijkman Institute for Molecular Biology, and this is the future work of our study to assess the technology and diffusion to the eastern of Indonesia. So my hope is that artificial intelligence, even in Indonesia, can contribute something which is useful for to help the government solve the problems of health issues, especially in tropical disease. Thank you very much for your attention.